This is the evening news for Tuesday, October 22, 2013. I am Leanna Bradshaw. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight. Security firm in breach of minimum wage order. GCOM to shortlist applicants for chief elections officer. Man dies after under-Neeming Road accident. AG says appeal filed by opposition in budget cuts case is upside down. And new GPC hailed as model private sector company. And now for the news in detail. A large security firm has been found in breach of the existing minimum wage order, and the owner could face charges soon. Samuel Suknandan filed this report.
Labour Minister Dr. Nandakishore Gopal told this newscast today that his ministry is preparing charges against a large security firm which has found in breach of the new national minimum wage order. He said that his ministry envisages that wages owed to workers could run into millions of dollars since the previous minimum wage was never implemented. The firm, he said, was awarded several government contracts this year.
We believe that the company has violated not only the minimum wage now, but the previous order they have not been complied with, and we cannot tolerate that. If it means even taking, this toughest action against that company, we will do so.
The Labour Minister said it was also found that some private sector companies have not been implementing the new minimum wage. However, most of them are now complying and are paying the salaries retroactive to May 1.
I want to say clearly that we have given enough time and that we will charge and prosecute persons once they fail to implement. We will continue doing inspection works in and around Georgetown in particular, and then we'll move into the other communities.
Plans will also be made to target Region 6 and 9, particularly because the ministry has been getting reports that employees are not paying overtime, which is required as part of the order. The ministry, he said, will ensure strict compliance in this regard and plans to carry out several other exercises to ensure that employees are given what they deserve by their employers. The government in January had established a ministerial team to work to fine-tune the necessary procedures that would facilitate the establishment of a national minimum wage. This effort was led by Minister of Labour Dr. Gopal. This initiative was strongly supported at the level of the tripartite committee, which consisted of government officials, representatives from the various labour organisations and the private sector. The new wages agreed to were monthly wages paid to workers at $35,000, weekly $8,000 and hourly $200. The new national minimum wage took effect from July 1. Reporting from the Ministry of Labour in Georgetown, I'm Samuel Suknandan for the Evening News.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of the Ghana Labour Union, Carvel Duncan, says while there are several employers that are in breach of the Labour Ministry's minimum wage and 40-hour work week implementation, those businesses are not unionized. Complaints reaching the Ghana Labour Union about defaulting employers have revealed that a number of retail businesses as well as manufacturers are guilty. According to General Secretary of the GLU, Carvel Duncan, they have not been honoring the recently implemented minimum wage and stipulated 40 hours of work per week.
What they've been saying quietly is that $35,000 would eventually cause an increase in the price of the product they sell and would make them less competitive to other businesses. The fact of the matter is, it is not a question of whether you'll be less competitive or not. The fact is that the law is saying that you must pay $35,000 a month and you must work 5 days a week.
He disclosed an instance in which a business has shifted its 5-day work week to Wednesday through Sunday, but is failing to pay the premium rates for the weekend, such as time and a half and double. In light of this, Duncan says the Labour Ministry needs to be more vigilant to ensure that workers are not exploited.
We are in the process of preparing a press release, bringing it to the attention of the Minister that his ministry, which is the Ministry of Labour, ought to be a little more vigilant in pursuing this.
He stated that while many private sector businesses have accepted the new laws as principle, they are not practicing them.
Most of these employers who have not honored the minimum wage, they are not unionized employers. Most of the unionized employers I know have honored it.
The Ministry of Labour on July 1, 2013, officially implemented the minimum wage to be observed by all employers in the public and private sectors. The established minimum wage per month is $35,000. The ministry has also moved to enforce the 40-hour work week, which would see workers accumulating 40 hours of work by the end of their work week, or alternatively, be compensated for their hours. For the Evening News, Leanna Bradshaw. Some 14 or more applications have been received so far for the post of Chief Elections Officer. Samuel Suknandan joins us with the details.
GECOM Chairman Dr. Steve Surjbali said that a number of applications for the vacant position of Chief Elections Officer have been received, 3 of which are from overseas. Dr. Surjbali said that very shortly the Commission will move to commence interviews, which will determine a shortlist from which one will be selected for the post of Chief Elections Officer.
So applications have come in. I think there are about 14 of them, and they have been distributed to the commissioners, and we will now get together, look at them, shortlist the relevant and what we seem to be thinking is the most competent of the applicants, and then move towards bringing them in for interviews, whoever the ones are that are shortlisted, and then make the final decision as to who the Chief Election Officer would be.
The decision to recruit a new Chief Elections Officer was made after the Commission decided not to renew the contract of its former CEO, Gokul Budu, who served for many years. Budu's contract expired in April. There were a number of controversies surrounding the issue which suggested that Budu was not fit to continue serving as the Chief Elections Officer. The CEO is required to play the key leadership role in the Secretariat, with responsibility for implementing all aspects of its operations and ensuring that results achieved are consistent with the laws of Guyana. It also said that the CEO also acts as the primary contact between GECOM and the staff of the Secretariat. The CEO will also participate in the representation of the Commission's policies and activities in interactions with stakeholders and other interest groups, including political parties. The submission for application for this post was September 30. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
Police say investigations are being conducted into a fatal accident that occurred at about 15:45 yesterday at Ondernaming Public Road, Essequibo Coast, and which resulted in the death of Felix Lane, 66 years, of Ondernaming. This newscast understands that the driver of motor lorry GLL 5313 was proceeding along the roadway when it was alleged that Felix Lane, who was driving motor car HB 6417, drove out from an access road onto the main road, causing collision with the motor lorry. Lane received injuries and later succumbed, while 2 passengers who were in the motor car also received injuries and were treated at the Suddy Hospital and sent away. The driver of the motor lorry is in police custody assisting with investigations. Attorney General Anil Nandlal today alleged that the opposition's appeal to Chief Justice Ian Chang's dismissal of opposition leader David Granger from the ongoing budget cuts court case was filed upside down.
How optimistic are you that the way to really...
Well, this is the beginning of the case, and I raised certain preliminary objections which relate firstly to whether a right of appeal lies against an order which dismisses a defendant from a proceeding, and the second contention is assuming that such a right of appeal exists, to which court does that right lie? And those are the 2 fundamental issues which I have raised in my preliminary arguments. The court has fixed that date to make its ruling. I am confident that an appeal doesn't lie in these circumstances. If an appeal lies against an order which dismisses a defendant from a case, it means that every defendant has a right to be sued. That is what it means. That if a plaintiff does not sue the defendant, somehow the defendant may sue the plaintiff for not suing the defendant. So you have that type of anomalous situation occurring if it is ruled that a defendant has a right to be named a defendant. And that is the fundamental legal question that has to be answered. And hence, that's the basis upon which I made the objections which I made.
The court has set the 11th to rule in this case. How optimistic are you?
Oh, we're very optimistic. The point taken by the Honorable Attorney General is that the full court was not the court for us to come to. We should have gone to the Court of Appeal because the decision of Chief Justice Chang to strike out David Granger as a defendant in that matter was a final order. And of course, it's not a final order because it hasn't resolved the disputes between the parties. In fact, the case is going on. The case was about to start, it had reached a hearing stage, and we were embarking on the hearing when we were pulled out of the case. And even the Lord Chief Justice's order is that these proceedings should be stayed. The proceedings before him should be stayed pending the outcome of the full court appeal. And as I've shown, all the authorities show, and the judges have referred to the practice books in order to find when an order is interlocutory or when it's final. And I've shown that in the Supreme Court practice, they have listed striking out of defendants as an interlocutory order. In fact, all striking out of a case for no cause of action, striking out period or dismissals, all those things are deemed to be interlocutory orders.
What really is the meaning of
Interlocutor means it's a preliminary and interim stage. Right? Final is as against final. Final is when it's completed.
Do stay tuned. More news after the break. Welcome back to the evening news. The impacts can be far-reaching if the Anti-Money Laundering, Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill is not passed in the National Assembly by the November deadline set out by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, said Bank of Ghana Deputy Governor Gobind Ganga earlier today. Details from Svetlana Marshall.
Businessmen and women operating in the realm of the commercial sector to the regular man in the street will be severely affected if the Anti-Money Laundering, Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill is not passed in the National Assembly before Ghana returns to the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force International Cooperation Review Group in November. Bank of Ghana Deputy Governor Gobind Ganga said the passage of the bill is critical to the banking and financial sector.
There will be extreme consequences in that the banks, corresponding banks, and customers, potential customers, will felt of this perception with respect to the reputation of integrity, in that they wouldn't want to do business with Guyana institutions. You'll find that international financial institutions, correspondence banking institution, investors, customers would find it very, very suspicious to deal with institutions in Guyana. That will create long delays.
He pointed out that commercial banks in Trinidad and Tobago have already heightened security systems in an effort to conduct transactions with Guyanese companies, following a warning letter from the Trinidad and Tobago Central Bank. In 2012, Ghana received US $400 million in remittances, accounting for 17% of the country's gross domestic product. But this too will be affected if Ghana is blacklisted if it fails to enact the bill.
There wouldn't be any smooth flowing of remittances to Guyana because obviously we will be put under the radar. You will have an extremely long period of time that the common man would experience before he receives his remittances.
The Insurance Association of Ghana and the Private Sector Commission have recently joined the government of Ghana to campaign for the passage of the anti-money laundering bill. The association said political leaders must take into consideration the ramifications if Ghana fails to amend the bill. Ghana's commercial sector can experience intense financial pressure if blacklisted, the association said, noting that insurance and banking transactions will become nearly impossible. PSC had voiced similar concerns, noting that the non-passage of the bill will delay business transactions and drive the prices of commodities and services upward. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Swetlana Marshall.
Pick It Up Guyana PIUG, an initiative of the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the United States Embassy in Georgetown, are collaborating to present the recently released environmental documentary Trashed, a Bohemian Films production produced and directed by British filmmaker Candida Brady and starring Academy Award-winning actor Jeremy Irons. The documentary, which was selected to receive a special screening at the Cannes Film Festival, sets out to discover the extent and effects of the global waste problem as it takes us around the world to beautiful destinations tainted by pollution. This journey takes the viewer from skepticism to sorrow and from horror to hope as it identifies sustainable measures and approaches that can be pursued to avert the dangers of inadequate solid waste management. Several showings are planned, but tomorrow at 12:30, persons will view it in Berbice at University of Guyana Tain campus. Prominent businessman Jerry Govaya has endorsed the establishment of the Marriott Hotel in Guyana, noting that it would bode well for the country's tourism sector. Local businessman Jerry Govaya believes that while the Marriott Hotel itself is a plus for boosting Guyana's tourism industry, it does not stand alone in this regard.
You can't take the Marriott in isolation. The Marriott by itself is a phenomenal project for Guyana. But the Marriott linked with the airport project, linked with the specialty hospital, which was going to be a boost of our medical tourism, the Amelia Falls, all of these projects together were meant to be tremendous transformational projects to Guyana, creating employment, injecting revenues into our country, stimulating the economy and investor confidence.
Such projects, he said, will help to make Guyana a more attractive place for investors and therefore urged all Guyanese to embrace their undertaking despite the interference by sections of Parliament.
It saddens me when I see these efforts on to derail the Marriott project. When I saw Parliament not approve the specialty hospital and the airport project and so on, I think it makes it extremely difficult for this economy to continue to be robust.
He stressed that the non-materialization of developmental projects like the Marriott Hotel can have serious consequences for Guyana's economy moving forward. For the Evening News, Leanna Bradshaw. The Ghana Labour Union GLU has praised the new GPC Incorporated for creating a model for other businesses to follow as regards to the way workers should be treated. More from Samuel Suknandon.
General Secretary of the Ghana Labour Union, GLU, Carvel Duncan, said that this is important to be placed on record. This, he stated, is mainly because the relationship between the union and the new GPC Inc. has grown tremendously and has the potential to grow even more. Duncan said his union represents a large number of employees working for the pharmaceutical giant.
The GLU sat with the privatization unit when the negotiations were in progress for the takeover of the GPC by the new GPC. And one of the things Dr. Ramrup said then, that he will try his utmost to ensure that the economic standards of the workers are improved and job security is assured. That was many years ago. But significantly, since then to now, he has kept his promise.
He also noted that negotiations for increase in salaries and other matters never lasted long, and most times the demands of the union are met, and workers in general are fully satisfied. The GLU executive said this has created a cordial relationship between the union and the new GPC.
The workers, on the other hand, will say to you that they are completely satisfied with the benefits that they gain from GPC. Transportation to and from work is only one of them. Meals at very economical and reasonable price is another. But in reality, their take-home pay has nearly tripled from the time they started to where they are today.
He listed a few unique benefits given to staffers, which include transportation from work to home. These, he said, are motivational factors that had led to the warm relationship the two entities share. He also reiterated that it is fair to say that the new GPC treats its workers kindly and with a lot of respect. This has allowed workers to give of their best as they work towards achieving all their goals. Duncan also advised that the standards set by the new GPC Inc. must be adopted by all private and public sector companies. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
The Ministry of Education MOE on Monday commissioned a new wing of the Fort Wellington Secondary School in Region 5. At a ceremony attended by students, teachers, parents, regional and education officials, Minister of Education Priya Manikchand cut the ribbon and officially handed over to the school's administration the new building, which has the capacity to accommodate 150 students. In delivering her remarks before the ribbon cutting, Manikchand underscored government's commitment to continuous investment in improving the quality of education offered in Guyana. His Excellency President Donald Ramotar posited while campaigning with the People's Progressive Party (PPP) at the last general elections that before the end of his term in office, his government will work assiduously to achieve universal secondary education, the minister said. She shared with the gathering that Guyana has acquired universal primary education, which means that it has achieved the United Nations Millennium Goal number 2. This means that every single child of the primary age cohort in this country can access a primary education. Do stay tuned. More news after these messages. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. 5 students and 1 mentor representing several regions of Guyana have embarked on a 3-week exchange program to the United States as part of the Youth Ambassadors Program YAP. The YAP group arrived in Denver, Colorado on Sunday and will travel to Washington, D.C. before the program concludes on October 29, 2013, the U.S. Embassy here said in a statement. Representing Guyana are Kadeem Gordon, Kea Dover, Lorix McAllister, Blossom Dublin, Keishal Jennings, and Ryan Hoppy as mentor. This is the second group of the Youth Ambassadors representing Guyana for the 2013-2014 Youth Ambassadors Program for the Caribbean. The program, which includes participants from the Bahamas, Grenada, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago, focuses on civic education, youth empowerment, environmental issues, social entrepreneurship, civic engagement, and food security. Amerindian Affairs Minister Pauline Sukai has urged Tushaus not to be sidetracked by politically motivated persons and to concentrate on the development of their communities. Sabatini Daniels tells us more.
Sukai urged leaders not to be hoodwinked into believing that Amerindians are facing grave injustice on the land rights. She expressed these views while addressing the opening of the 7th Annual National Tushaus Council meeting at the Guyana International Conference Center on Monday. Making reference to the Amerindian Peoples Association, APA, and the Guyanese Organization of Indigenous Peoples, GOIP, the minister noted that these are 2 of the organizations who try to mislead Amerindians.
Let us, as leaders, work to stop these dangerous campaigns being waged to stymie the overall progress made on land rights and the benefits to which you are enjoying.
The Amerindian Affairs Minister also debunked claims that the Amerindian Act is inadequate.
The authority to deal with affairs of Amerindians was for the first time placed solidly in the hands of the Village Council. leaving no room for any non-elected group to exert influence or push local leaders to make decisions of convenience.
Meanwhile, NTC Chairman Derek John noted that as members of the NTC, each member has a critical role to play in promoting and protecting the mandate of the Council.
I said this that because sometimes many of us are being sidetracked by various organizations, and many times they, instead of promoting the NTC there, we degrade and we condemn the work. And that is not too good as a people. When you do that, you're condemning our own selves.
The conference is being held under the theme Culture of Good Governance for Sustained Village Economies.
Today, a 22-year-old man was placed on $350,000 bail after he appeared before Magistrate Fabio Azor to answer to the charge of causing death by dangerous driving. Dev Harkishan was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which read that on October 19 at Rupert Craig Highway, he drove motor lorry GRR 5801 in a manner dangerous to the public, thus causing the death of 77-year-old Stanley Roach. Harkishan was represented by attorney Says Gunraj, who told the court that his client has no prior run-ins with the law and is not a flight risk. In addition to being granted bail, Harkishan was ordered to lodge his passport and other travel documents. Thanks, Anara. President of the Ghana Manufacturing and Services Association, Clinton Williams, says the organization will be seeking to include CEO of Ghana Fashion Week, Sonia Noel, in the recently established Ghana Fashion Designers Council. The recently established Ghana Fashion Designers Council, GFDC, comprises a group of local fashion designers, but excludes local fashion icon Sonia Noel. The council was launched in July this year under the auspices of the Ghana Manufacturing and Services Association, GMSA. However, many are questioning the exclusion of the Ghana Fashion Week Chief Executive Officer from the council. Speaking to this newscast during a brief interview, President of the GMSA, Clinton Williams, said the GFDC is currently working with Noel, who is also the proprietor of Mariska's Design, to promote the fashion sector in Guyana. He noted that while the council would welcome the collaboration with Noel, their aim is to have fashion in Guyana promoted under one umbrella body rather than to have her company and the council work separately. As such, discussions with Noel are expected to determine the way forward in having her collaborate with the council to push local fashion through the council. Meanwhile, Noel told this newscast that while she is willing to work with the council to promote the industry, she is also working in the diaspora through her business.
Fashion has to be, to really make sense, it has to be out of Guyana too. So a lot of engagement in the Caribbean. I have St. Lucia, Antigua, and so many other things coming on board. And also making way for the younger talent too. It's not just Sonia Noel. Recently I was invited to show at the Brooklyn Wine Festival, and I asked the organizers, I said, is it fine for me to make it a fashion weekend branding? Because we have designers in the diaspora that are taking part in Fashion Week, and it was actually a tremendous success.
She believes the council is a good initiative to represent the sector in Ghana, as it will aid in attracting financial funding. This newscast understands, however, that there has been a rift between members of the council and Noel, which resulted in Noel's exclusion from the GFDC's executive committee. Already, sections of the fashion industry are refusing to work with the council unless the acclaimed Noel is either the head or given a senior post, this newscast understands. As such, it is believed that the talks with Noel are intended to work out a mechanism that would see them moving forward in unity for the benefit of the fashion industry. The setting up of the council was made possible by a grant of 30,000 euros, which the GMSA received from the European Union's Caribbean Export Development Agency, Caribbean Export, for this purpose. Noel is considered a pioneer of modern-day fashion in Ghana and has worked extremely hard over the past 7 years, bringing more order to the sector. You're watching the Evening News. More news after the break. Welcome back, and now for a look at your sport news. In the headlines, youth captains say ODI series was beneficial. Moray House to host a conversation about cricket. And Drayton makes a resounding start to chess title defense. And now for the details. Bangladesh Under-19s defeated West Indies youth team by 67 runs in the 7th and final ODI at the Everest Cricket Club ground to take the series 4-3 on Monday. The two teams were using the series as part of their preparations for the ICC Youth World Cup next February in the United Arab Emirates. More from Rajiv Besnat.
The final game of the series was billed as a decider after the West Indies had won back-to-back games to level the series 3-all. However, they were never really in the run chase and lost wickets at regular intervals, as spinners Uzaman Nihad, who bagged 5 wickets, and an all-round performance from man of the series Hassan Miraj ruined West Indies' batting lineup to defend 168 with ease. Jermaine Solosanso offered some brief resistance with an unbeaten 35, but apart from the 33-run stand for the 7th wicket with Ramal Lewis, he had little help from the other batsmen. West Indies were eventually bowled out for 101 to hand the visitors a 67-run victory. Earlier, the West Indies had a decent bowling effort to restrict Bangladesh to 168 in 44 overs. The West Indies exploited conditions perfectly, with left-arm fast bowler Jermaine Jones being the main destructive force, claiming 5 for 23, including a hat-trick in the 44th over. Jones received valuable support from Alzari Joseph with 2 for 48 and Fabian Allen 2 for 27. Sadman Anik, in rich form at the top of the order, top scored with 48 for the visitors. Meanwhile, after the game, this postcard spoke with both captains. West Indies captain Ramal Lewis said that while he's disappointed with the end results, he feels the series was definitely a learning experience for them ahead of the Youth World Cup.
We always want to put a foot forward, so we're just going to put in some hard work and wait to Bangladesh. Think we come back in this series, but we just lost it here, and we just have to put in some hard work and hope for the best.
Miraj, on the other hand, commended both teams for the competitiveness shown throughout the series.
Yeah, of course, everybody a lot of enjoy because every player's first tour of West Indies. So I think our player is very good perform, and sometimes you problem because condition is difficult. So every player condition adjust the condition. So I'm hopefully every players lot of enjoy this series, and West Indies series, West Indies player. They always very good playing, and I think both team communication is good. So today match two teams lot of excited. So I think our team lot of excited. Then your job properly you do this. So I am really happy this series.
Bangladesh will host the West Indies for a return series in December before the Youth World Cup scheduled for Dubai is held in February.
The Moray House Trust will on Thursday host a conversation about cricket featuring 2 prominent former captains and a well-known local cricket historian beginning at 18 hours 30 at Moray House on 239 Camp in Quamina Street, Georgetown. The esteemed panel will include West Indies' most successful Test captain and 2-time World Cup winner Clive Lloyd, the former England opener and captain-turned-commentator Michael Atherton, and an authority on Guyana and West Indies cricket, Dr. Winston McGowan. The event is being sponsored by Limacol, the official sponsor of the Caribbean Premier League T20 tournament and the franchise owner of the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Defending champion Anthony Drayton made a resounding start to the Sasha Sells National Junior Chess Championships by breezing past his first 3 opponents at the Olympic House High Street, Kingston at the weekend. Drayton exhibited his determination to retain the title as he crushed Rashad Hussain, his first opponent to fall, followed by former national junior champion Haifeng Su and Davian Mars, his third opponent on the chess board. The reigning champion later explained to the president of the Ghana Chess Federation, Shiv Nandalal, that Mars was the toughest of the 3. He also boasted that he does not foresee any of the remaining 4 opponents posing a threat to his title. Meanwhile, lone female participant Sharifa Ali scored a victory over her male counterpart Roberto Neto and drew her match with her older brother Saeed Ali. However, she lost to Mars in a tense struggle. With 4 more rounds to go, Drayton, who holds a FIDE rating of 1801, will face Roberto Neto, Saeed and Sharifa Ali and Omar Britton Grant. The fourth round is scheduled for Wednesday afternoon at the same venue, and the championship will wrap up next weekend. Do stay tuned, your bird reports are next. Welcome back, and now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbor Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, October 23 at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. The Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, October 23 at 6 hours 50 for a period of 1.5 hours. And that's your Tuesday, October 22, 2013 edition of the Evening News. I am Leanna Bradshaw. Thanks for joining us.